get to it and look at this Jordan Peterson, and it was his name Ben Dichter.
BJ Dichter.
BJ
I'm
Dichter.
not sure first
Okay.
name is. I didn't watch it because I knew we were going to be watching it.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, here we go. And Ashley, if you can't hear it, speak up, and I will try to fix it.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Mr. Benjamin Dichter, who's the owner-operator of his own rig and integrally involved with the organization and ongoing activities of the Truckers' Convoy in Ottawa. And so Mr. Dichter has something to read to us today, which outlines what the truckers have accomplished. And
I'm curious, before I let it go too much further, and I'm going to be pausing it roughly 20 to 35 seconds, at least as we go through, just to let the stream catch up, because I don't want to lose a lot of frames. But I'm curious, how did Jordan Peterson hear about you, Mr. Dichter, if you're still here in the chat? How did were you put in contact with him? Did he reach out to you? Also, by the way, this is a great freeze frame for Jordan Peterson's face.
I love Peterson. He's one of my favorite people.
Oh yeah, he's an amazing guy. All right. Anyways, I want to know how they got linked up though. Maybe that story is in here. I haven't watched like all the way through though.
wanted to accomplish and hope to still accomplish. And I thought this would be a really good way of informing everyone in as direct a manner as possible of what the aims of this protest movement. What are the aims of this protest movement? So, Mr. Dichter, thank you for being willing to talk to me, and I'll let you say anything you want and also to take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Jordan. And so we just prepared a statement that can really solidify some of the basics so nobody's confused. So I'm going to read exactly what our statement is.
So before he starts it, I just want to say this is a really, really, really good thing that Jordan Peterson did this, in my opinion, because at first, all of us on this stream, we were sitting here complaining that, hey, the mainstream media did not pick this up, and they wouldn't even mention that it was happening for a long time.
Right.
And then when the mainstream media finally did pick it up, they turned it into these are fringe outliers who are trying to take down the Canadian government. So it's really important that, the goals and aims of this are put out there. And so I'm really, really happy that Jordan Peterson did this.
It is important, but it's not going to change what the mainstream media says.
Well, that's true.
No, but it is important to bring attention to the voices of the people involved in the truckers convoy, because the people who are supposed to be leading us have not been listening to us for a couple of years now. And so what this is
250 to be exact.
Well, yeah, but the people have realized that the blue checks are not going to solve this, that this is going to be solved by us. And that's why it won't get media attention, because it does actually have real power. And that's why people like, Jordan Peterson bringing attention to the regular people, to the normal everyday people, because for years we've watched them try to figure out why Trump won and the reason, or why Brexit happened or whatever it is. And the reason they can't figure it out is because they don't actually talk to the people.
Right.
They talk to each other.
And so they create the Russian collusion thing. So yeah, I got to talk about that at length last night with that goofy GH guy. Anyways, on we go.
The Freedom Convoy is a peaceful and loving demonstration based on the principles of unity and respect for all Canadians. We have come to Ottawa with two very simple demands. One, the government end all COVID mandates. And two, the federal government remove its digital COVID tracking app called ArriveCan as a requirement to re-enter Canada.
Whoa, I didn't know that was a thing. Did you guys know that was a thing?
Yes, I have family in Canada. Oh yeah.
Oh,
they don't actually have to scan it. It automatically reads the app on your phone when you pull up to the border.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's nothing new. That's been going on for at least 10 years, probably longer than that.
Right, I just didn't realize that Canada was doing that. Like, I know that Australia had that one where it was like that you have to send a picture with like showing that it's like the current time and day and it's a current picture or whatever within however many minutes. But I didn't know that Canada was doing something similar.
Yes, and I'll tell you something. So I live 10 miles, 15 miles from the Canadian border, and whenever I cross the border, I don't bring any electronic devices. And that makes them weirded out.
Well, yeah.
They can't stand that. Because I don't bring a phone, or I'll bring a burner that is just whatever. Because this has been going on for a long time. I lived in northern New York, same deal. And so every time I go across the border into Canada, they're like, oh, so let me see your phone. And I'll give them some burner piece of shit phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, so this is your phone? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
this is it? This is all you got? Yep, this is it.
Right. But by the way, hey, everybody that's watching, if you like the stream, give it a thumbs up. It helps more people see it. It really helps with exposure of it. So I appreciate it if you do that. But yeah, so do you guys think, honestly, that like these are the demands? They're simple demands, and the thing that gets me is that they're not going to get them in any way that anyone's ever going to admit. But do you think that they will achieve what they set out to achieve? I mean, because they are kind of, aren't they?
No, I think they will.
Yeah.
The Canadian government has been shown to be ineffectual, right? I mean, Trudeau's done. He's not. I highly doubt he is going to ever be premier again. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, well,
maybe I'm wrong. There's
definitely quite a few Canadians in the chat. I see someone said Canadian grandma here just wants to be left alone. We want that for you. But can you speak to that? What do you guys think? Will Trudeau make it because of this? Like, is this going to end his hopes of ever being prime minister ever again? Are they gonna call an election, or go ahead, Ashley?
From what I've read, there is a little bit of stir about a vote of no confidence. But I don't know. It really depends on how these protests end. I think if he just gives in and lets go of the mandates, then there's a shot he could be reelected, because there's a large portion of the Canadian public who are all in on this, and they're, a little more okay and sanguine with government action than we are down here. So, okay. I mean, there is a chance he could survive this. I don't think that he's going to give up fast enough.
Yeah.
I think something dumb is going to happen before he gives it up.
Makes sense.
I think it's going to be much more.
Well, so here's another question for the Canadians in the chat too. So we know that all the mainstream media is saying, this is just a fringe, like it's not a tiny minority of people. 90% of Canadians hate these people. Can you guys speak to that? Like, talk about what your experience has been with it, because I don't believe that for a second, but I just want to hear it from you guys. I'd love to hear it from you guys too, because I have family in Canada, lots of family. They can't stand Trudeau, but that could just be my bubble. Right, that may not be the greater majority of people. Right. By the way, I'm going to notice, sorry, Ashley, I'll let you go in a second. I just wanted to mention that Ben right here says, I produce a podcast for Dr. Stephen Hicks. Stephen Hicks is much of the work Jordan cites when talking about postmodernism. So that's how he knows Jordan Peterson.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. Did you have something to say, Ashley? Or
I don't.
Okay.
It's okay.
All right, we'll let it go forward.
We have not anticipated the thirst for freedom in all Canadians after 2 long years of restrictions and harsh lockdowns, which in the minds of sensible Canadians are not in the spirit of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and our esteemed Constitution. The supporters of our convoy have come from all walks of life and have been a source of unification for Canadians from across all provinces and cultures. We are not a group interested in identity politics or racial divisions. We are, in fact, open to all people who want to share their love and help with the revival of the Canadian identity.
I don't know, guys. He sounds like a white supremacist to me.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's what you're getting. You're like everybody in the mainstream media is just like, oh, this is some some fringe white supremacist group, and it's like this guy's talking about like peace, love, and understanding. Like you're insane.
I just wanted to say for anybody listening, he's being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. He's not a white supremacist. I know that.
Yeah. But for people who don't know you, maybe they might take that wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. But no, I mean it shocks me. It absolutely shocks me just the way that this has been, like they've been able to twist it and people actually believe it, especially in America. Like people just don't pay any attention to the news in any capacity. And so when they just go there like, these are the white supremacists, some guy showed up with and had a swastika sign. And like, oh, guess it's a bunch of white supremacists. And then they just like write 55 articles about it, cite each other in those articles, so there's no real sources. And then they just move on.
Yeah, it's all very circular.
But I was watching one of the press conferences that the truckers, the ones in Ottawa, held the other day, and one of what he meant about a revival of community. One of the organizers said that she had forgotten what Canada was like. Like she had forgotten the spirit of the Canadian people, and these truckers thought it was going to be a small thing. And what happened was when they drove from BC to Ontario and they saw people all over the roads and all over the overpasses all the way there, and it just kept growing and getting bigger, they all realized that Trudeau and his small fringe minority thing was a lie made up by the news. There are so many people who support it who are not there, and there is a sense of community. Like they literally have been doing kumbaya circles, like they've been doing drum circles. They have like hug parties. Like I watched this video today, there's a lady on stage just telling everybody to hug each other. Yeah. Like it's the most Canadian thing I've ever seen in my life. Well,
and it's hard to get a feel for the whole situation because Canada is a massive country.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like everybody can just drop whatever they're doing and go physically support these truckers.
Right. Yeah.
So what you're seeing is a small proportion of probably a larger majority. That's all you're seeing is the truckers there. But I think, or it seems to me that there's probably a lot of people who support that can't necessarily make it to Ottawa.
Yeah.
Because it's a massive country, kind of like the U.S.
It's bigger than the U.S., ain't it?
In land mass, I think it is, yeah.
I mean, not population, of course, but land mass, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's bigger.
Right.
Population is like one U.S. state.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
Entire.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move on with it, but yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy to me that they've gotten away with this whole minority thing. Like, because if anybody who's been paying attention whatsoever knows they just know that that's not true, especially with the GoFundMe stuff. Like that's, and the Give, Send, Go, like both of them. Like the amount of money that was raised tells you that this isn't some weird fringe.
The Freedom Convoy leadership spans the country and comes from various Indigenous, rural, and urban communities, all who have an ambition for unification and freedom. Our demands have not changed from day one. End the mandates and end the passports. And we will all go back home to our communities and our businesses and help Canada heal from the COVID years. There have been many demands attributed to us that are not our demands, primarily from the legacy media. We do not want to overthrow the government. We do not want to remove any of our elected officials from power. That's what elections are for. We do not want confrontation with the good people of law enforcement within our organization and within our crowds We have countless first responders and military veterans.
I wondered about that too, because like, so one thing about the Canadian protest that is different from what I believe it would look like in the US is when we had the, was it Ambassador Bridge in Detroit, or between Detroit and Canada, that had the protest on it. The US just sent police with riot gear and just cleared it out like overnight. But that hasn't happened in Canada. So is that because of restraint on the part of the government, like telling the police to hold back, or is that because the police just don't want to do it because they're on the side of the protesters?
No, the blockade was only ever big on the Canadian side. There was never really a big blockade on the American side. There was a small protest for a short time, but they actually cleared the Canadian side of Ambassador Bridge yesterday or the day before yesterday. They had to go in and tow vehicles. Some people got arrested. At Coots border, they just dropped the blockade at Coots border because Alberta dropped their Vax passport. And at the end of it, the cops came in and like they all hugged each other and sang the Canadian national anthem.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean that's great. I'm just it just is so strange to me that like in the U.S. like this would have been squashed so quickly, just because the U.S. has no problem with using authoritarian tactics, like at all, just no issue.
Unless it's BLM.
Well, yeah, unless it's BLM, and then they're peaceful protesters while they're burning the city down. But that's a different that's a different situation.
More authoritarian than us the past 2 years.
As far as COVID restrictions, yes.
Well, and why not, right? Because in Canada, what are they going to do other than gather trucks? They don't have the weapons we have. It's very hard for the government here to do the same thing they're doing in Canada. They'd like to, but there's too many weapons. Like, it just won't work. Like, how do you stop us from saying no? We couldn't quell Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We could have.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, here comes.
I was there. Like, I don't know what you're talking. Like.
Well, that's a little off track. Let's get back. Let's get back to the video. Let's not do Afghanistan. But speaking of off track, I just want to say really quickly, the most dedicated man in the world is Mr. Hominoid. He is in the chat. Preaching the good news of Vegemite, and he has been since we started. So, anyways, back to the video.
Who are all proud of the Ottawa police. We do not wish for military action. We want nothing other than for our peaceful and loving demonstrations, as well as our community outreach, to help inspire our fellow Canadians to have a voice and to appreciate the freedoms which we are fortunate enough to have and which many others in the world struggle to achieve.
I love that. I love that he's framing it this way. It's like, this is our peaceful and loving protest, and we're just after freedom. We're not trying to overthrow the government. We're not trying to have run-ins with the police. We're not trying to have run-ins with the military. And it's a great preemptive thing too, because if they can put out an official statement like this, it gives them a lot more capability to disavow when people actually start doing those things. Because you know that as it gets warmer and as these demonstrations spread, there's going to be more and more instances of people like, the Antifa groups, jumping in and having their little go at the cops and trying to start something so that they can blame it on them.
They've been releasing that exact same statement every day for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since they've been there, they've had live streams and press conferences every single night.
Right, but nobody outside of, like, I know that there's a few people that have been documenting this from the Canadian side, and they stream it on YouTube, and they've got a couple 100,000 followers, but they're all people that were already on the same side pretty much. And so the difference here is that when it goes up on Jordan Peterson's channel, then it's being spread out to millions of people who may or may not agree with Jordan Peterson and still subscribe to him and follow him. But also, like, it's broader than just those Canadians that are in support of the protest.
It gives it some gravitas.
That was my thought. By the way, Lex just said in the chat that since BJ Dichter is in the chat, why don't we ask him any questions? Do we have questions? If you think of them, I mean, I'm not putting you guys on the spot, but if you think of them, throw them out because he is here. Okay. Anyways,
We also would ask that our political class and the legacy media tone down their rhetoric. The era of slander and indiscriminately labeling fellow citizens with pejoratives or as racists needs to come to an end.
it's a good point, but that's a pipe dream, buddy. Like, that's not gonna that's been happening for quite a while. I mean, I know you know this, but geez, like, I wish that we could get rid of all everybody who doesn't like me is a white supremacist, everybody, all of that. And it's just, it's exhausting, but nothing's going to happen. Go ahead, sorry.
I think the answer is to quit taking them seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I never answer. If somebody calls me a racist online, which actually happens fairly often because I'm pretty active. I'm serious. I'm very active on Twitter.
Well, plus you've got that accent.
Yeah, I've got this accent. It really drives people crazy. I put y'all in a tweet and they're like, "Ooh, you're a racist." I'm like, yeah. But if I get called a racist, I will literally just laugh at them. I'll put little laughy faces and then clown faces because that's stupid. Mm-hmm. All of that is stupid. I think we need to quit entertaining it like they have any serious basis. It's just insane to me. There was one Confederate flag. They made the guy put it down, and then every single person said, "For what? It's Canada. What does a Confederate flag have to do with anything? Mm-hmm. It's Canada."
Yeah.
Like, I it's just insane. Like, the way the media has painted this.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also read letters from like citizens in Ottawa who have walked around and gotten to know the truckers. And I think that there's a lot more eye-opening going on in Canada right now than Trudeau should be comfortable with.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's being bare-assed as a clown. Like people are saying, like, oh my God, this guy is just, he's the worst. I mean, he's running and hiding from his press conferences, for God's sakes. Also, by the way, Ben Dichter says, pipe dream, how dare you, Greta?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I had to mention that in chat.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I Ben, I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, it's not gonna happen. We've been wanting it forever, but I mean, I hope it happens, but I doubt it. That'll anything will come with it.
I'm a little more optimistic than you. The trucker thing is real white pilling, but I've been really reporting on it real closely since like the day it started.
I have too.
And the energy coming out of there is just so beautiful.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you go back on, I think both of our channels actually, if you go back and look on our videos, I think I was on it like maybe 15 or 16 hours before you, but we were both on it like, I don't know, three days before anybody even on the right wing in the U.S. picked it up. Like, at least. It was.
Well, I reported before they got to Ottawa.
Yeah, I did too. When it was still like forming, I was like, "This is."
Yeah. It took like 3 weeks for anybody in my regular life to find out about it.
Yeah,
like everybody. You heard about what's going on? No, I have no idea. Like, you have no idea that there's a revolution going on. No. Okay.
Well, right, and I think that you definitely went in quite a bit more depth than I did, because I was just like, I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is cool, and I started talking about it, but I didn't have time to like dig down and do all the research that that you typically do. But it's crazy that like no one talked about it until they saw that it would serve their political means, and then they're trying to bend it as like even the people on the right here are like, oh, these are the truckers that they're all about anti-Biden and anti-this and anti-that. It's like, well, sure, some of them are. Like, they're carrying around the F Biden signs. But, I mean, it's really cool that Ben is right here, like, putting out, this is exactly what we're after, and it's not some, super politically driven thing. It's just about freedom.
We need to talk openly and respect one another. But we cannot achieve this if our political class continues to behave in such an unparliamentary manner, while the legacy media attacks the very people they are supposed to reach. The unifying goal that all Canadians have is we want a return to a normal life, a free life, no matter where one lies on the political spectrum. Now is the time, and the first courageous step would be for the federal government to remove these divisive policies of mandates and data tracking of our citizens and allow us all to heal together.
I mean, again, like, I'm with you. And this is the only way, this really is the only way to get to them. Like, you have to hit them where it hurts, and where it hurts is going to be the supply chain.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about this. I think that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying the Ambassador Bridge was big. That was a huge thing. That was really something that they felt and something that got their attention too.
Right. Yes, it was. And like hitting them where it hurts, that's exactly what it's going to take to end any of this. And finally we're seeing like mask mandates being lifted in schools, and vaccine mandates are finally getting lighter in some places. They're still just as bad where I'm at, with like hospitals and stuff. Like every clinic I go to is requiring it, but it's getting better. It is getting better, and this is a catalyst. I'm gonna go ahead and let him finish this thought here.
Peace, love, and unity is the future of the Canadian identity. Let's inspire the world to follow us on this journey of enlightenment. That's all.
All right. Well, so that in a nutshell is what the...
That's very well said. Like, I'm not going to listen to Jordan's response to it, because that's what we're here for. But I mean, this is...
No, that was good.
Yeah, it's exactly what people need to hear, and I really love that. Like, he keeps putting it into the like peace, love, and unity, because it's impossible. Like, the number of times that he said that, it's kind of impossible to take him out of context and try to make him sound like anything that he's not, because he said absolutely nothing objectionable.
It doesn't matter. They're not going to watch what he said.
Oh, well, of course not. But, I mean, the people on the internet who, like, I feel like internet lefties, they're fairly dishonest in the first place. But if you can force them to watch something and pin them down on it, be like, okay, what do you actually object to? Then you can get them to be honest if you do that. And so maybe it'll only be, 50 cases where that actually happens. But, I mean, I think it's the right way to go about it. And beyond that, it's taking the moral high ground, right? Like, it's...
Yeah, I mean, he's a hell of a lot less abrasive than I would be, right?
Yeah.
If I went and said the same thing, people would be like, fuck you!
Well, yeah, but, I mean, yeah.
I'm Southern, and our culture is very different than Canadian culture. He's Howard used a good word. He's much less abrasive than I would have been of it.
Right. Well, but I mean, maybe it's just like, because I know from talking to you guys both that I'm probably a little bit, I don't know if the word is softer than you guys, but I don't know if it's a product of that or if it's just like, well, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but
I'm a New Yorker. Perfect. I am very abrasive.
Yes, me and Howard are both pretty abrasive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, either way, I mean, like, the way, and by the way, that wasn't taking a shot at you guys. Like, I love you guys. I'm not trying to do that, but I just really like that he framed it in this way, because I can't object to a single thing. It's very straightforward. Look, this is the right thing to do, and we're just standing up for people's freedoms, and we want everybody to be unified, and we just want a normal life again.